Hare Krishna. We're starting with reading of small books of Srila Prabhupada. And the first one that we're starting is Beyond Birth and Death, Janam Mrityu Ke Pare, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we'll do Mangla Charan. Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatavine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaurav Bhaktivrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're starting with chapter 1, which is Beyond Birth and Death. Chapter 1. We are not these bodies. So Srila Prabhupada starts this chapter by quoting Bhagavad Gita shloka number 2.30. Dehi nityam avdayoyam dehi sarvasya bharata tasmad sarvani bhutani natvam shoche tumarhasi. Krishna says, O descendant of Bharat, he who dwells in the body is eternal and can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any creature. So Srila Prabhupada writes, the very first step in self-realization is realizing one's identity as separate from the body. I am not this body, but I am the spirit soul, is an essential realization for anyone who wants to transcend death and enter into the spiritual world beyond. It is not simply a matter of saying, I am not this body, but of actually realizing it. This is not as simple as it may seem at first. Although we are not these bodies, but are pure consciousness. Somehow or the other, we have become encased within the bodily dress. If we actually want the happiness and independence that transcends death, we have to establish ourselves and remain in our constitutional position as pure consciousness. Living in the bodily conception, our idea of happiness is like that of a man in delirium. Some philosopher claims that this delirious condition of bodily identification should be cured by abstraining from all actions. Because these material activities have been a source of distress for us, they claim they should actually stop these activities. Their culmination of perfection is in a kind of Buddhistic nirvana, in which no activities are performed. Buddha maintained that due to a combination of material elements, this body has come into existence, and that somehow or the other, if these material elements are separated or disseminated, the cause of suffering is removed. If the tax collectors give us too much difficulty because we happen to possess a large house, one simple solution is to destroy the house. However, the Bhagavad Gita indicates that this material body is not all in all. Beyond this combination of material elements, there is spirit, and the symptoms of that spirit is consciousness. Consciousness cannot be denied. A body without consciousness is a dead body. As soon as consciousness is removed from the body, the mouth will not speak, the eyes will not see, nor the ears hear. It is a fact that consciousness is absolutely necessary for the animation of the body. What is this consciousness? Just as heat or smoke are symptoms of fire, so consciousness is the symptom of the soul. The energy of the soul or self is produced in the shape of consciousness. Indeed, consciousness proves that the soul is present. There is not only philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, but the conclusion of all Vedic literature. The impersonalist followers of Shankaracharya, as well as the Vaishnavas following in the disciplic succession from Lord Sri Krishna, acknowledges the factual existence of the soul, but the Buddhist philosophers do not. The impersonalist followers of Shankaracharya, as well as the Vaishnava following in the disciplic succession from Lord Krishna, acknowledges the factual existence of the soul, but the Buddhist philosophers do not. The Buddhists contend that at a certain stage of combination of matter produces consciousness. But this argument is refuted by the fact that although we may have all the constituents of matter at our disposal, we cannot produce consciousness from them. All the material elements may be present in a dead man, but we cannot revive that man to consciousness. This body is not like a machine. When a part of the machine breaks down, it can be replaced and the machine will work again. But when the body breaks down, and the consciousness leaves the body, there is no possibility of our replacing the broken part and rejuvenating the consciousness. The soul is different from the body, and as long as the soul is there, the body is animate. But there is no possibility of making the body animate in the absence of a soul. Because we cannot perceive the soul by our gross senses, we deny it. Actually, there are so many things that are there which we cannot see. We cannot see the air, the radio waves, or the sound, nor can we perceive the minute bacteria with our blunt senses. But this does not mean that they are not there. By the aid of microscope and other instruments, many things can be perceived which had previously been denied by the imperfect senses. Just because the soul, which is atomic in size, has not been perceived yet by the senses or instruments, we should not conclude that it is not there. It can, however, be perceived by its symptoms and effect. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna points out that all our miseries are due to the false identification with the body. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukhada, agama payano nityas, tanstitiksh vabharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of heat and cold, happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception, O Sakshan of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Bhagavad Gita 2.14. In the summertime, we may feel pleasure from the contact with water, but in the winter, we may shun that very water because it is too cold. In either case, the water is the same, but we perceive it as pleasant or painful due to its contact with the body. All feelings of distress and happiness are due to the bodily. Under certain conditions, the body and mind feel happiness and distress. Factually, we are all hankering after happiness, for the soul's constitutional position is that of happiness. The soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Being, who is Sat Chit Anand Vigraha, the embodiment of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Indeed, the very name Krishna, which is non-sectarian, means the greatest pleasure. Krish means greatest, and Na means pleasure. Krishna is the epitome of pleasure, and being part and parcel of him, we hanker for pleasure. A drop of ocean water has all the properties of the ocean itself, and we, although minute particles of the Supreme Whole, have the same energetic properties as the Supreme. The atomic soul, although small, is moving the entire body to act in so many wonderful ways. The Shveta Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita commentary states that the soul is measured as 1/10,000th part of the tip of the strand of a hair. To imagine this, if you divide the tip of a hair into 100 parts and then divide each of those parts into another 100 parts, the resulting tiny fraction is the size of the soul. In the world, we see so many cities, highways, bridges, great buildings, monuments, and great civilization. But who has done all this? It is all done by the minute spirit spark within the body. If such wonderful things can be performed by the minute spirit spark, we cannot begin to imagine what can be accomplished by the supreme spirit whole. The natural hankering of the minute spirit spark is for the qualities of the whole, which is knowledge, bliss, and eternality. But these hankerings are being frustrated due to the material body. The information on how to attain the soul's desire is given in the Bhagavad Gita. At present, we are trying to attain eternity, bliss, and knowledge by means of an imperfect instrument. Actually, our progress towards these goals is being blocked by the material body. Therefore, we have to come to the realization of our existence beyond the body. Theoretical knowledge that we are not these bodies will not do. We have to keep ourselves always separate as masters of the body, not as servants. If we know how to drive a car well, it will give us good service. But if we do not know how, we will be in danger. The body is composed of senses, and the senses are always hungry after their objects. The eye sees a beautiful person and tells us, oh, there's a beautiful girl or a beautiful boy. Let's go there. The ears are telling us, oh, there is very nice music. Let us go hear it. The tongue is saying, oh, there is a very nice restaurant with palatable dishes. Let us go. In this way, the senses are dragging us from one place to another. Because of this, we are perplexed. It is imperative that we learn how to control the senses. The name Goswami is given to someone who has learned how to master the senses. Go means senses and Swami means controller. So one who can control the senses is to be considered as Goswami. Krishna indicates that one who identifies with the illusionary material body cannot establish himself in his proper identity as spirit soul. Bodily pleasure is flickering and intoxicating, and we cannot actually enjoy it because of its momentary nature. Actual pleasure is of the soul, not the body. We have to mold our lives in such a way that we will not be diverted by the bodily pleasure. If somehow we are diverted, it is not possible for us to establish our consciousness in its true identity beyond the body. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya aprita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhavna vidhiyate triguniya vishya veda nistraya gunya bhavarjuna nirdvandvo nitya sattvasto niryoga shema atmavan. In the minds of those who are too attached to the senses and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. The Vedas deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjun. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. The word Veda means book of knowledge. There are many books of knowledge which vary according to the country, population, environment, etc. In India, the books of knowledge are referred to as Vedas. In the West, they are called the Old Testament, New Testament, and in the Mohammedans, they are called the Qurans. What is the purpose of all these books of knowledge? They are to train us to understand our position as pure souls. The purpose is to restrict bodily activities by certain rules and regulations, and these rules and regulations are known as the codes of morality. The regulative principles may differ from country to country or from scriptures to scripture, but that doesn't matter, for they are made according to the time and circumstances and the mentality of the people. But the principles of regulated control is the same. The Bible, for instance, has 10 commandments intended to regulate our lives. The body must be controlled in order for us to search the higher perfection. And without regulative principles, it is not possible to perfect our lives. The regulative principles may differ from country to country or from scriptures to scriptures, but that doesn't matter, for they are made according to the time and circumstances and mentality of the people, but the principles of regulated control is the same. In the previous verse, Sri Krishna tells Arjun that the regulative principles of the Vedas are meant to control the three modes of the material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Trigunaya Vishaya Veda. However, Krishna is advising Arjun to establish himself in his pure constitutional position as spirit soul, beyond the dualities of material nature. As we have already pointed out, these dualities, such as heat and cold, pleasure and pain, arise due to the contact of the senses with their objects. In other words, they are born of the identification with the body. Krishna indicates that those who are devoted to enjoyment and the power are carried away by the words of the Vedas, which promise heavenly enjoyment by sacrifice and regulated activities. Enjoyment is our birthright, for it is the characteristics of the spirit soul. But the spirit soul tries to enjoy materially, and this is the mistake. Everyone is turning to material subject for enjoyment and is compiling as knowledge as possible. Someone is becoming a chemist, a physicist, a politician, an artist, or whatever. Everyone knows something of everything or everything of something, and this is generally known as knowledge. But as soon as we leave the body, all of this knowledge is vanquished. In the previous life, one may have been a great man of knowledge, but in this life, he has to start again by going to school and learning how to read and write from the beginning. Whatever knowledge was acquired in the previous life is forgotten. The situation is that we are actually seeking eternal knowledge, but this cannot be acquired by this material body. We are all seeking enjoyment through these bodies, but bodily enjoyment is not our actual enjoyment. It is artificial. We have to understand that if we want to continue in this artificial enjoyment, we will not be able to attain our position of eternal enjoyment. The body must be considered as a diseased condition. A diseased man cannot enjoy himself properly. A man with jaundice, for instance, will taste sugar candy as bitter, but a healthy man can taste its sweetness. In either case, the sugar candy is the same, but according to our condition, it tastes different. Unless we are cured of this diseased conception of bodily life, we cannot taste the sweetness of spiritual life. Indeed, it will taste bitter to us. At the same time, by increasing our enjoyment of material life, we are further complicating our diseased condition. A typhoid patient cannot eat solid food, and if someone gives it to him to enjoy, and he eats it, he is further complicating his malady and is endangering his life. If we really want freedom from the miseries of the material existence, we must minimize our bodily demands and pleasures. Actually, material enjoyment is not enjoyment at all. Real enjoyment does not cease. In the Mahabharata, there is a verse, Ramante yogino vante, to the effect that the yogis, yogino, those who are endeavoring to elevate themselves to the spiritual platform are actually enjoying Ramante. But the enjoyment is ananta, endless. This is because the enjoyment is in relationship to the supreme enjoyer, Rama, Sri Krishna. Bhagwan Sri Krishna is the real enjoyer, and the Bhagavad Gita 5.29 confirms this. Bhoktaram yagitapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shanti mrichati. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate enjoyer of all sacrifice and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, the benefactors and well-wishers of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of the material miseries. An example to this relationship can be found in the material world between the husband and the wife. The husband is the enjoyer and the wife is the enjoyed, Prakriti. The word Pri means woman. Purusha or spirit is the subject and Prakriti or nature is the object. The enjoyment, however, is participated in both by husband and the wife. When actual enjoyment is there is no distinction that the husband is enjoying more or the wife is enjoying less. Although the male is the predominator and the female is predominated, there is no division when it comes to enjoyment. On a large scale, no living entity is the enjoyer. God expands into many, and we constitute those expansions. God is one without second, but He willed to become many in order to enjoy. We have experienced that there is little or no more enjoyment in sitting alone in a room talking to oneself. However, if there are 5 people present, our enjoyment is enhanced. And if we can discuss Krishna before many, many people, the enjoyment is all the greater. Although Krishna is the enjoyer and we the enjoyed, the enjoyment can be participated in equally by everyone. Our enjoyment can be perfected when we participate in the enjoyment of God. There is no possibility of our enjoying separately on the bodily platform. Material enjoyment, on the other hand, on the gross bodily platform, is discouraged throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukhada, agama payino nityas, tamstatekshva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of heat and cold, happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception, O section of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. The gross material body is a result of the interaction of the modes of material nature, and it is doomed to destruction. Only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. Bhagavad Gita 2.18. Sri Krishna therefore encourages us to transcend the bodily conception of existence and attain to our actual spiritual life. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, he can become free from birth and death, old age, and their distress, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Bhagavad Gita 14.20. To establish ourselves on the pure Brahma Bhuta spiritual platform above the three modes, we must take up the method of Krishna consciousness, the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chanting of the names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, facilitates this process. This method is called Bhakti Yoga or Mantra Yoga, and it is employed by the highest transcendentalists. How the transcendentalists realize their identity beyond birth and death, beyond the material body, and transfer themselves from the material universe to the spiritual universe are the subject of the following chapters.